guys, Bug Out back here again. I'm actually at the Hillsborough River State Park. Going to be doing some tests on some water purification techniques. Obviously we know that in survival that life is water. You can only go for so long without water. You can only go for so long without fresh water. Now a lot of people will see this type of a running water system and assume that it's going to go ahead and be fresh, dip your hands in, drink it, and it's going to be fine. The reality is there can still be bacteria, protozoa, things that are going to give you diarrhea, stomach cramps, worse. Diarrhea is going to make you even more hydrated, so you're going to be in a worse position than you were to begin with. So we want to make sure that we do is when we find bodies of water that we're making sure we're properly treating it. Now obviously the tried and true method is going to be to boil it. If you have iodine tablets in your bag, then great, that's going to help as well. There's ways you can make certain kind of filters. Now there's products out there that say that their product is the only thing that you need in order to take this kind of water and make it completely potable. So that's what I'm going to go ahead and test out today, some tried and true methods, and then also I got some great products from Sawyer, from LifeStraw. I even picked one up just for fun from I don't know if you guys have seen it before, called Bobble. So we're going to just put together some tests and see if it's really as good as they say, and if it is, then great. I look forward to seeing some results. Alright guys, so first thing I need to do is take a baseline. What I'm going to be kind of doing, it's not going to be 100% accurate because I don't have a laboratory out here, but you're not going to either in survival, right? But I do happen to have with me a TDS, stands for Total Dissolved Solids indicator. It's going to tell me how many dissolved solids are in the water itself. Obviously the more you filter it, the less you're going to get. I'm also going to be using a litmus strip. I'm sure you guys have seen these in high school. It's going to tell me kind of the acidic level of the water. It's not going to give me 100% reading saying that this is full of bacteria, but it's at least going to give me a baseline. So I'm going to go ahead and just fill some water up real quick and we'll see how it is. Now, typically in survival, this is where some people will drink the water because it's running and they'll say, oh, I'm sure it's fine. And you look at this and that actually looks fairly clear. You smell it, and it smells pretty awful. Now, this isn't as bad as stagnant water or swamp water, but it's still pretty awful. Let's first do a litmus strip. Alright, so with my litmus paper, it does actually tell me that it is not very toxic as far as acid levels, but it's also not a nice bright green or dark green like I would want, which is going to tell us that it's neutral. Now, I can't guarantee that I'm going to be able to filter it to that level, but at least we know that it's not highly acidic, which does kind of help indicate a little bit of the more freshness level of it. Now what we're going to do is use the TDS indicator to see about how many total dissolved solids are in there. The higher the number, the worse it actually is. Alright, so with this bad boy, all I need to do is dip it in the water, wait a little bit. Alright, it's giving me a reading of about 165. It's giving me a reading of about 165. That's not good. Now, it's not awful. I've actually seen worse. But anything in the high hundreds or even low hundreds is typically not good. You do want to be a little bit lower than that, or a good bit lower than that, I should say. Like something out of a home water filtration system, but its tap water is typically going to be in the low double digits. This is definitely high, and that's because clearly, although it's running water, there's still going to be tons of animal feces, just bits and parts being picked up that are not as good for you and you do not want in your system. Alright guys, so one thing I want to do for this test is going to be if you're needing to make a filter using just rocks and sand. This is going to be like a kind of a primitive water filter if it were. I'm just using half of a Coke bottle here. But what that's going to do is kind of help dissolve some additional or break up some additional solids in here. And then I'm going to use my handkerchief to kind of wrap around it and let it filter even one more level. So proper filtration, you want multiple layers of filtration. Like if you think of the filter you use in your house for your tap water, that's Brita filter or maybe whatever the heck you're using, it's going to go through several layers until the water is actually filtered. So this is going to be a lot more primitive, but I'll kind of show you the difference. Alright, so I'm going to use this little body of water here. Already I can still see little creepy crawlies floating around, so this is clearly something that I would not want to drink without proper filtration. So what I'm going to do is just get my water and my handkerchief here, and this is full of sand on top. So this is going to start breaking down any additional solids. So as you can see, it's clearly a slow filtration process, but in proper filtration, that's what you want. Now I don't know if you can already see compared to the water from earlier, but even this, something so simple, is already making the water so much more clear. Before it had a nice kind of yellow tint to it. This is already looking a lot more clear. Now obviously, you're going to need to go through a couple tries to get the right amount of water. If you have a place to actually hang this or even just let it sit in there, that's great, because it's going to take some time, but you want it to take time. You never want to rush water filtration because you don't want to get sick. If it's a survival situation, getting sick is going to be detrimental to you. It's going to be one of the worst things you can do. I still would not suggest drinking this straight up. This is something I would still want to boil. If you have the ability to boil, you always want to boil. That's why water, fire, shelter are the most important things when it comes to wilderness survival. So one of the first things I'm going to test out is the LifeStraw. I'm sure plenty of you guys have seen this if they're on so many different types of survivalist websites. They've been in multiple magazines. They're highly accredited. They claim to be able to filter up to 264 gallons. Takes care of 99.9999% waterborne bacteria, waterborne protozoa. Now, their claim to fame is that you can go ahead and just take this as is, dip it in, and drink, and you'll be fine. For me, just because I'm used to a filtration process taking a little bit longer, I guess I'm a little skeptical, but honestly, their sales don't lie, so I guess we'll see. Alright, so with the LifeStraw, no fancy instructions here. It's literally a straw, and the filtration is built in. So you just pop the cap off the top, pop the cap off the bottom, and their claim is I'm going to stick it into this water and be able to drink. Now, just because I want to be cautious, I'm not going to actually drink. I'm going to use it kind of like a siphon. I'm going to put it in my water container here and test it out. Alright, now the first thing that I'm seeing is that the water is actually not as clear as I was hoping for it to be. Now, that could be because of the fact that I'm doing a siphon technique, that I'm taking it into my mouth first and then spitting it out. But honestly, there shouldn't be this much solids floating around just from my mouth. I mean, that's dirt, could possibly be other things. So I don't know if it's because I just used it and if I need to kind of get it broke in first. I'm not 100% sure. I'm going to do another test run real quick just because I don't want to leave it at this and call it a day. Okay, so I wasn't happy with the results that I found, and I think the biggest issue was the fact that I was getting it in my mouth first and then spitting it back out, and that's not going to give me the results I'm looking for. So what I'm actually going to do is just suck up the water into the filtration system, and then I found out that I can spit it backwards, which will still filter it, but it's not going to get contaminated with my mouth. So let's try that out, okay? So that looks more like the results that I was hoping to get. It's definitely a lot more clear, and I can tell you when I'm getting a little bit in my mouth that it definitely tastes good. It tastes like fresh spring water. So let's go ahead and get some tests on this guy. Alright, so testing with the TDS again. This isn't going to measure bacteria or protozoa, but it's at least going to tell me if it filtered out a lot of the dissolved solids. So for dissolved solids, I'm still getting a pretty high number. I'm still getting about 175, which is about the same number I was getting when it was the straight up running water. Now, again, I'm going to test it again here. Yeah, it's kind of staying in that 170s range. Now again, this is only going to tell me dissolved solids, which I wanted to kind of get some kind of a scientific test for you guys. I really wish that I had a better way to show you as far as like the bacteria and protozoa. I can tell you just by smelling it and tasting it that it's definitely a lot better than if I were to just dip my face in there and drink. And the fact that these guys are well-renowned and they've helped children around the world, I can't imagine that they would still be in business if their product was crap. So from what I'm smelling, tasting, and seeing, I'm liking what I'm seeing. But we still have some more testing. Now another product I'm going to be testing is the Sawyer Mini water filtration system. What's cool about this one is that there's multiple ways to actually use it. You can use it as a straw. You can use it as a kind of squeeze pump. You can put it directly in water bottles. You can link it up directly to your water bladder. So I think it's kind of cool to give you multiple ways to use it. This one says it can actually filter up to 100,000 gallons, so much more than the LifeStraw, but it is also a larger item. Not too much larger, just a little bit bulkier, and there's some extra pieces with it. What I like about this too, though, is that they give you like a cleaning kit to make sure that you're properly cleaning your filter so that you can continue to get fresh water. Also says it removes 99.9999% of bacteria like E. coli, etc. So I'm looking forward to seeing this in results as well. Alright, so this is the Sawyer. So a little bit more complicated, a little bit more steps to it, but that's because they give you different ways that you can use this. One of the ways that you can do it is similar to like the LifeStraw, where you're supposed to be able to use this as a straw. You also have, what I like is it has easy to use instructions on here as well to kind of tell you how to use it if you're going to use the bladder system. So we're going to put this guy to the test as well. So we have our water bladder full of water, and what I like about this is that I can squeeze it rather than sucking on it directly. This is going to be great because I would still always recommend to boil the water. Although these kind of companies claim that it's 100% safe, I still like the idea that if your life is depending on it, it's better to be safe than sorry, right? We're going to take our cup here and simply turn it over, and you just want to do a light squeeze because you don't want to break the bag. Now already I'm starting to see some kind of some bubbles in here. Now that's just from aeration. When I filled up the water bladder, I got a lot of air in here from the water itself. And then now that I'm squeezing it through, I'm putting more pressure, more air. Air is what's making it go out when I squeeze it. So those bubbles are not contamination. Don't get that confused. That's just simply air. And again, I like that this is a long, slow filter because, like I said, long, slow filtration is what you want. And you can see this water is also very clear. Doesn't have a smell at all. There is still a little bit more of a yellow tint to it than I was seeing with the LifeStraw, but that's just because there's different filtration systems. Now, I'm just curious. You know, honestly, if I had to drink that, it's actually not bad. It tastes like bottled water. I actually really do enjoy that. So again, with the TDS indicator, I'm starting to think that maybe this wasn't the best indicator to use for these kind of things, just because it's not going to tell me bacteria. So actually, with this guy, I'm actually getting an increase in the total dissolved solids. Here I'm getting more of about a 185. Now, that could be because of the type of filtration system they use. Sometimes when you get a brand new filter, it is going to still have some kind of carbon deposits or something like that, which is perfectly healthy for you to intake. But at the same time, you just want to be wary of that. This is again why I suggest to boil the water afterwards, because do you want to take a chance of maybe that's just carbon? Or would you rather be safer and know that at least boiling it that you're 100% killing? If this says it kills the 99.99999%, you know that boiling it for 20 minutes is going to help you kill that 0.000 whatever percent. Alright, so last and probably least is going to be the bobble. Now, I just kind of picked this up for fun. It's a personal water bottle filtration system. It's really supposed to be just to kind of turn your tap water into a little bit more like a filtered water kind of base. But you know what? Let's say that you're out trekking. This is the only thing that you have. It's going to be better than nothing, right? Well, let's see. Oh yeah, look at that nice yellowy tinge. Alright, well let's see if this guy can do anything to actually filter it out and make it better than what it is. Alright, now you might see there's a little tint of black. That's actually the carbon, because this is a carbon-based filter. So again, that's actually not bad for you. It's not going to kill you. Obviously, it's not going to taste very great and doesn't look pretty. So let's try to get some of the carbon out first. And let's see what the difference is. Alright, so I think I have most of the carbon out. Now, I believe you're supposed to suck on this, but I'm going to squeeze it. And actually, that's not too bad. That actually, it went from the kind of more yellow tint to a little bit more clear. The smell's still not that great. I guess I don't have a choice, do I? That tastes god awful. That is disgusting. I will need to find something to clean my mouth out with now. That was disgusting. Okay, so it may make the water look a little bit better and smell a little better, not by much. But honestly, with how god-awful that taste and this chalky kind of aftertaste that I have, I can already tell that this is not going to save your life, and you would never want to rely on this to filter this kind of water. So if this is all you have in your pack, please find some way to take this to another container and boil it after you filter it, because that is disgusting. No, don't worry, guys. But seriously, in all reality, I don't care who says it, I don't care how long they've been on TV, don't drink your goddamn pee! Alright, so since I wasn't camping there, unfortunately the park rangers don't necessarily like the idea of me starting a fire in the middle of the trail. So I wasn't able to boil any of the water, so instead what it is, I went ahead and just took some of the nice yellowy contaminated water from the pond area and went ahead, or the river I should say, and so we're going to go ahead and do kind of an untraditional style boil since I live in an apartment and don't have a yard to go ahead and make a nice campfire. So in conclusion, LifeStraw, I believe it actually did well. I believe it did what it said it's going to do. The water actually tastes fairly good, a lot better than just drinking it straight out of the other things. And I do believe them when they say that they kills the amount of protozoa and bacteria. I give them a thumbs up, definitely. The Sawyer product as well. I think they're actually right there on par with LifeStraw. The water was just as clear, smelled good, tastes good. As good as it can from a lake, a river, but yeah, I actually do believe they both products do what they say they're going to do. The bobble, obviously that was just kind of for shits and grins. That was disgusting, so don't use that one to save your life, but hey, if you want to have it filter your tap water, then by all means, unless you live in Mexico. And then of course with the boil technique and iodine, as much as iodine is going to taste awful, it is going to be one of the tried and true ways. My father was a Vietnam vet and was the one who kind of taught me those techniques, and they're still used to this day. So either way, just remember, there's multiple ways you can get pure or clean water out in the wild. Just want to make sure that you're being safe. Never take anything to chance. If you can boil it, boil it. I don't care if you use any kind of a filter, boil it. And as always, be prepared.